Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And I, the drink.
You the drink?
I, the drink.
What are you the drinking tonight?
Our beer tonight is, my beer tonight. Leah's still not drinking? Nope. Still taking pills and stuff?
And by pills, he means antibiotics, nothing crazy.
I mean Lortab.
That is not accurate.
My beer tonight is River Defender. Brewed and canned by Red Clay Brewing Company in Opelika, Alabama. 4% alcohol by volume. And nothing on the cans, nothing on the website for this beer. So let's read the Untapped description. And if you don't know what that is, it's beer social media.
Which is just mind-boggling
to me. It's a thing.
All right.
Here we go. Brewed using Carafoam, 2-row, Munich malts, Magnum, Cascade, Citra, Mosaic hops. The low alcohol content of this IPA makes it easy drinking if all you need is a short session of enjoying beer. Herbal and resinous aromas tickle your nose, while upon drinking, strong floral notes present first with a lasting spice taste at the end. End quote. I'm going to try it again real quick because I don't know about that lasting spice thing. Nope, just your everyday IPA, which is what I have in my notes. It's crisp at the beginning, bitter at the end. It is surprising that it's such a low alcohol content. You don't normally see an IPA with like a Bud Light level alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
Untapped also says that it's like 4.2% alcohol instead of just 4. Like it fucking matters, but
when it's that low, it's kind of negligible.
Yeah, it just doesn't taste like it's got that little alcohol in it. So, it's a good IPA. I like IPAs, so if you're into it, it's just, there's nothing that sets it off from anything else. It's good, it's enjoyable, it is refreshing. I give it an 8 out of 10. Leah, you want to try a sip?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
I don't.
Then we'll just move right along to the shot in the dark that I'll be taking tonight. Electric Orange Appalachain Sippin Cream, produced and bottled by Sugarlands Distilling Company, LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. 20% alcohol by volume. If you'd like to hear the full review, we've had it on twice before. The first time was episode 137 called What Crop Was It? So if you want to hear that full review, go check it out. 9.5 out of 10. It's just wonderful. All the creams are wonderful. If you like orange creamsicles like Push Pops, this is right up your alley. That's it, Leah. That's it for the alcohols. Quick and easy this week. And that's about it. That's all that I've got.
That's all.
So you can go whenever you want.
Fantastic.
Whatever we're doing next.
Well, we're going to go directly.
Redectly?
I'm having a problem, and I'm very sober, and I have to remain sober. It kind of sucks. So, anyway.
Sucks to be
I'm just still struggling with, like, speech impediment problems. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a COVID symptom.
Yeah. It really is, and is weird.
A lingering COVID symptom and brain fog, which I've had. And just about everybody I know is
struggling with both of those things, and it really, really sucks. But you know what? It's okay. We're moving on. We are going to be doing the sassy Southern saying of the evening.
Yay! Say me something sassy and Southern.
All right, it is.
Why have I not been doing that? Why has that not been my catchphrase as part of this? Say me something sassy and Southern. That's what I should have been doing this whole time.
I don't know that I like that.
Got it. Until you change it again, because it used to be funny place names.
Yeah. Well, eventually I'm going to run out of things, and I'm going to have to change it to something else that I'm interested in. It'll happen eventually. If anybody's got any ideas, hit me up. I'll gladly try that.
I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Funny place names.
We already did that, though.
For like 100-something episodes.
It's a lot of episodes, and now we're on this, and for the next 100 episodes, we'll pick something different. I don't know what, and like I said, if anybody has ideas, I'm totally down to figure that out with you. But anyway, for now, the saying of the evening is, you can't... Sorry, let me try that again.
That would be Leah not getting something correct.
You can't make a silk purse from a sow's ear.
Oh. I mean, that just... I don't like it at all. Sow's a pig, right?
It is.
I always get that wrong because it makes me... Oh, doe. A deer. Sow. A female pig.
Yes.
I always get that wrong because I think sow and I think cow. I don't know why.
No, a sow is a female pig. A boar is a male pig.
It just means, you got to have quality to get quality. Because you can't make something silk out of human skin, basically. Because
skin.
Pigs are basically human skin, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're really good human analogs for, decomposition projects. But,
that, speaking of pornography, human analogs is an interesting thing to put into Pornhub. Haven't tried it yet.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I'm going to try
I'm just talking about, for body farm kind of
Might also try
stuff.
Sal's ear in the Pornhub. We'll see what happens.
And actually this particular phrase does not originate in the South. It originates in Scotland. And it makes sense that it's really predominant in the southern United States because lots of immigrants from Scotland, Ireland, England, all of those areas were very prevalent, especially the Scotch-Irish, really settled in this area, and it's the first recorded incidents of it being written down that we know of was from 1699 in a new dictionary of the terms ancient and modern of the Canting Crew by B.E. Gent. So 1699 is when that phrase.
Canting Crew. They had that song Mr. Jones, didn't they?
I think those are the Counting Crows, but whatever. Canting Cruise, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just one that I actually learned it in Latin. I don't know why, but yeah, that's it.
All right.
It just means, you were right on the meaning. It just means that you have to have quality ingredients to have a quality product. You can't start with shit and end up with something magnificent.
Yeah, like you should order Papa John's, not Pizza Hut. Better ingredients.
Better pizza.
Papa John's, now not featuring racism.
Which is excellent. It's quite the upgrade.
No longer featuring that guy.
Extra garlic butter, less racism. It's exciting.
It says that on the box now. I always put...
No, it actually just says Papadilla, but that's what they mean.
Whenever we do an online order, I put in the comments, you have to actually physically order the extra garlic sauces, so I do that. But I just put in the comments, minus racism, please. And I've never had a problem with racism in the store.
Excellent.
Because we always pick up our pizzas. I'm not paying for delivery. I always go pick it up. So I'm walking up in there just waiting to hear one racial slur, and I'm like, I'm out. I'm getting my phone out.
Also, the pizza delivery around here is kind of iffy because it's a real rural area, and they're not great about getting the houses correct. Like, my dad had a Marco's Pizza delivered to his door that wasn't his. He did not order it. Yep. One of the neighbors did, and he didn't know it was there. They just didn't knock or anything like that. They left it on his porch, and it got infested with ants.
Yeah,
it was the biggest fucking mess.
Because he's one of those people, if y'all know any of these people that don't use their front door.
Yeah.
They go out the garage or the back door or whatever. So he never goes on his porch. And it was COVID times, so they're no contact, and they're just going to drop the pizza off. And they dropped someone's pizza off on his porch, and it sat there for at least a week.
It was at least a week, and those poor fucking people paid for a pizza. And I'm sure they called, and they're like, what the hell?
They got it fixed.
And I'm sure they got their pizza eventually, but just... a perfectly good, and I don't think it was just one pizza. I think it was two. Yeah. And like I said, it was just swarming with bugs and just disgustingness when he found it. And he was very not happy.
Just imagine the fear in those people when they get the notification, pizza's on your porch, and they walk up and there's nothing there, and they're like, again, it's rural, and it's nighttime, and they're like,
those goddamn coyotes.
Marcos is setting me up to be murdered with a knife.
No, I would have thought coyotes, but whatever.
Coyotes going to carry the pizza off, though? They would open it there. They're not taking it back to the den.
You don't know. I'm sure it was in a bag. It had handles. It could have just and left off. I don't know. But I'm just saying, it's worth it to just go pick up your pizza around here, because you never know. You just never know.
And also, you can request no racism. Yeah. And they won't give you any when you get to the store.
Well, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you're right. Around here, again, you never know.
Most of the time it's fine, but you run into an anomaly here and there, and it's a problem.
All right. This is enough. What are we doing now?
We're going to go into our very first story of the evening, and we are doing a spooky cryptid.
Yay! It's been a while since we did a cryptid, hasn't it?
It has been a while since we've done a cryptid, so I looked up one that is fun and ridiculous and just...
Cryptidy.
Chef's kiss. Excellent. It's goofy. It's unbelievable. No one can, agree on its physical characteristics. It just makes me happy, and I'm going to talk about it.
Excellent.
So we're going down south to New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yay!
And we are going to be talking about the Grunch.
The Grunch?
The Grunch.
The Grunch who stole Bourbon Street? The Grunch who stole Mardi Gras. Damn it. Gotta get a holiday if you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Fucking moron.
The Grunch who stole Fat Tuesday, maybe. I don't know.
There you go. Way better.
Anyway, so, Louisiana has a lot of weird cryptid-y stuff around it anyway. You've got, vampires and the like. You've got the Rougarou, which we've talked about before.
I like that one.
Lots of fun stuff, but today we're talking about the good old-fashioned Grunch. It's also called by a few other names. Some people call it the vampire ephemeral. It's a French part of New Orleans, and I can't say any of the French parts of New Orleans, so just bear with me. I can't say that word. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty good at French pronunciation.
Some people call it the demon of Damnon Road. But most people just call it the Grunch, because Grunch is really easy and fun to say.
Yeah.
Grunch, 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 Grunch. It's fun. I recommend you saying it very often. Anyway.
You made a cereal, Captain Grunch.
Oh my gosh, Captain Grunch would be the best.
Captain Grunch.
That would just be a great fan art, like a T-shirt. Yeah. I don't know, like cereal.
Somebody make it. We'll talk about selling it in a few years.
Anyway, Captain Grunch. I just want that. Anyway,
Captain Grunch.
Captain sounds weird. Captain Grunch is fun. Anyway,
oh my God, Leah.
So, it's said to be sort of an ape-like, maybe reptilian, has glowing eyes, goat-like head, hoofy feet, big fangs, kind of clawy, but also hoofy, and I'm not sure how that works at the same time. Some people say that it's kind of got spines, like quills, like a porcupine, but some people say it's just like a horned ridge down its back. All of the different descriptions of this thing are absolutely incredibly, just strange. None of them really match, but they all seem to be talking about the same thing. Some people say, it's definitely got opposable thumbs, and I don't know who got that close to it to know that its thumbs were opposable, but then they also say that it's got hooves. So does it have hooves on the back and claws on the front, or hooves on all fours?
It has opposable hooves.
But does it have a hoof thumb? I just want to know how it works. I need to know the anatomy of Grunch hands.
It's just that their hooves can touch each of the other hooves. So they're opposable hooves.
So it's like a lobster claw situation, but with hooves?
No, it's just it can take one foot and touch all of its other feet.
That's not what opposable means.
I've got opposable arms. I know that.
Anyway, very strange looking fucker is what we're going to end up here. It's also supposed to be very aggressive. It doesn't like people. It will chase you, and it's supposed to immediately be so horrifying that you're terrified as soon as you see it. And of course, it screams and wails and just makes these awful, horrible noises that it just strikes fear in the heart of anybody that comes near it. So, okay. I mean, normal cryptid stuff, my favorite kind of cryptid stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a few different tales of the origin of this thing. There's 3 that I could find, and each one is better than the last, and I just love them all, and I'm going to tell them all.
Excellent. I guess we've got a while tonight.
Not a real long while. They're pretty short stories each, and they're all incredibly unbelievable and ridiculous, but that's what makes me happy about it.
I'm just saying there's some steak sous videing in the Thermomix right now, so let's Well,
we got 40 minutes. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, the first tale is... I guess the most believable, but even then it's a little iffy.
Okay.
So, the first story is that there was kind of a remote road. So, like, the sightings and the stories of these creatures date back pretty far into the early 1800s. Maybe late 1700s, just depending on who you ask and which website you check out, but sort of turn of that century. And one of the stories in the area is that there was a real remote road at the time that sort of ran through sort of swampy wilderness, and it kind of was an area that no one really laid claim to. It had a little bit of like woods and stuff like that, and it was just sort of an area of property that nobody really wanted. It wasn't valuable because you couldn't build on it because it was marshy. You couldn't develop it. You couldn't farm it. So it was just sort of a piece of land that nobody gave a fuck about.
Yeah.
And it's sort of where a lot of these societal outcast, the othered kind of people ended up making their home. So they sort of camped out in those areas because people would leave them alone.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking about people that might have some kind of physical impediment or deformity, or anything from being albino to having dwarfism, or someone that might have a club foot or something like that. Anyone that was deemed
it's
not
where they
normal.
sit all the fairy tale characters.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's Shrek. It's got Shrek vibes.
It's got heavy Shrek vibes. You're very right.
It's just so weird that we've watched Shrek. Like, we watched the actual movie, I think like a week ago.
Yeah.
And then yesterday we started watching the musical, and it's just like it's just making me think fairy tale characters.
Yeah. It's got very heavy Shrek vibes.
Yeah.
But they apparently, according to the story, and this is really, really just discriminatory and awful, but anyway, they said that the reason this creature came about was that these people with deformities inbred, and they just ended up becoming this malformed, monstrous group of things called the Grunch, and they started calling it Grunch Road because it was the road that you didn't go on because the Grunches lived down there.
It was real grunchy down there.
It was real grunchy.
I know it is now. It's the sound your car makes when it's driving down that road. It's it's kind of swampy but kind of gravelly, and it's just grunch.
Gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is origin story number 1. Now, origin story number 2 is by far the most ridiculous and my favorite, which after Grunch Road, got it. Anyway, okay. Yeah. So the whole story of this revolves around Marie Laveau, who I'm sure, do you know who?
Nope.
No? Okay. So we'll do a completely different episode on her because there's so much I would like to say about her that it's probably going to be its own episode. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Marie Laveau, if you don't know, was a voodoo high priestess in Louisiana. She was very socially powerful, and some people think magically powerful. And they also... anyway, I'll get into the lore behind her later, just because it doesn't really mean much here. But anyway, suffice to say, she was a very high-ranking voodoo priestess. Mm-hmm. And apparently, there's a whole backstory, weird, crazy bullshit as to how Devil Baby ends up being Devil Baby. But suffice to say, there's this demonic...
You know you haven't said Devil Baby yet, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Suffice to say, there's a demonic entity named the Devil Baby.
Jesus.
And he's the baby of the devil. Yeah. And it ends up getting brought to her to either be raised or like...
This is your problem.
This is like... You take care of this, ma'am. Ugh. She's like, okay. But she didn't want the Devil Baby to grow up and be able to create more Devil Babies, so she decided to castrate the Devil Baby. And when she castrates the Devil Baby, its testicles fall off, and one testicle becomes a male grunch and the other testicle becomes a female grunch, and the devil baby attacks the fuck out of Marie Laveau and like runs off with the grunches.
Just imagine you cut a testicle off and it falls down. It just grows legs. It just scurries away. It goes under the dresser.
It scatters like a cockroach. Just
oh God. The thing is, are they long legs or are they little stumpy like just feet that are on the end of the testicle?
Man. I don't want to know.
It's just ankles and feet. That's all.
Anyway, so they just sort of scatter. It attacks and then they run off. So that is the best, I think, possible origin story.
That's fantastic.
Of how the grunch became.
That makes me so happy.
But yeah, we do have a third option, which is less exciting.
Stick with that one. Moving on. Story 2.
Devil baby castration is my favorite part.
That makes me so happy.
So the last origin story is, of course, because satanic panic, why not? They believe that the creatures were, because a bunch of Satan worshippers sold their soul to the devil in order to conjure up a protective demon spirit, to sort of like watch over them as they do their awful rituals in the swamp, you know.
All of this makes sense.
Yeah, of course. And so the devil was like, here, have a grunch.
Here, I grew this from one of my testicles.
Look, someone castrated my kid, and like we don't know what to do with them now, so they're your problem. Here's some crunches.
Crunch is what I've named my testicles. Oh man, I got some itchy grunch right now. And one of them just all of a sudden started talking one day. Next thing you know, it's got ankles and feet,
glowing red eyes,
and then it starts.
It's got opposable thumbs.
Then it gains self-consciousness.
Hooves. All right. Well, shot in the dark.
Oh, okay. Let's see if you can get this right, okay?
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm not sure what I have and haven't done now, so let's try. This one might be easy for you. Let's see. That's not the right thing, though. That's labeled incorrectly in here.
I don't think that's
It's labeled incorrectly.
I don't know what that was supposed to be.
Well, it was supposed to be a frag grenade, but that sounded like a flashbang sound. So, that's not what that was.
I wouldn't have gotten either of those, so it's fine.
Let's try it again. Yeah, that's not at all the right thing.
I don't like that.
I do like that I can stop these, though.
Yeah, that's nice. Anyway, so shot in the dark.
Okay, go ahead.
In this version of events, ordinary people can also become a grunch. So, my question to you is, how does one become a grunch?
Oh, here we go.
A, a person commits murder.
You grow from a testicle. We've discussed this.
B, a person gets bitten by a grunch. Or C, a person gets cursed by voodoo.
I like the voodoo curse. I think that's fun because it's the area, so I'm going to say voodoo curse.
You're incorrect. To become a grunch, you have to be bitten by a grunch. It's werewolf rules.
But where did the first grunch come from?
Werewolf rules. The first grunch in that story is that the devil gave him the grunch.
Let's do this because we did this on Patreon recently. That episode will be out by the time you hear this because this is coming out in like a week and a half.
Okay.
But this is off. It's off note. Price is Right. You remember this. I think this is the right one. Let's see. How upsetting does that make you feel?
Wrong.
Everybody listening, did the hairs on the back of your neck just stand up from the first couple notes? Here we go.
That note. It's so wrong, and I don't like it, and it should die a fiery death.
Because as I've said before, this soundboard is like somebody did a bunch of sound effects, but they did them all themselves, right? And that one is just like, it's not Price is Right, because don't you hear how off it is?
It's Price is
negotiable.
I don't like it. Anyway, but yeah, it's werewolf rules when it comes to this version of the Grunch. So if you get bit by a Grunch, you become a Grunch. Grunch, 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 grunch. But
Grunch.
But most people believe that this sort of falls...
Baby, make the Grunch go do-do-do, baby. It was a testicle.
You've got to stop that.
Are you okay?
No. Anyway, so, but, okay, Grunches are this hodgepodge weird thing, right? But it also has a lot of similarities to what modern day people would call a chupacabra.
Yeah.
Because its main characteristic is that it will attack its prey, be it a pet, be it livestock, be it a person, whatever. They will pounce on it, drag it away, and they will bite it and suck all of its blood and occasionally its organs, just depending on which story you're talking about.
It sucks the organs or eats the organs?
It sucks, like, everything out of that one hole.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's gross. And apparently, the most recent spat of sightings was after Hurricane Katrina happened. A lot of people were driving back into the area, and they saw these creatures crossing the road, and
they were like, "There's that organ sucker,"
and stuff like that. Yeah. So there was one of the articles that I pulled when I was doing the research for this was from Mysterious Universe, and they interviewed a lady that saw one right after Katrina, and I just wanted to read to you what she said about the Grunch, because I thought it was interesting. She said, "This thing looked like some sort of lizard-like cross between monkey and bulldog. It was horrible. It was shuffling along with a lopsided gait and seemed to be so unnatural that I could feel the hairs on my neck stand up. It had grayish skin." Stop! It had grayish, scaly skin and a snouted face that looked to be a cross between that of an ape and an alligator. Now look, she said monkey bulldog, and now she's said ape alligator.
No.
All over the place.
I was going to say, how fucking cute would a monkey and a bulldog be together?
Absolutely adorable.
Ape and alligator? Anyway. I'm kind of into that, too.
Ape-a-gator? Anyway, it's really hard to describe. As I approached it, it stopped and puffed up to stand on two legs at a height of about 5 feet, looking at me with those baleful eyes, and then it emitted the most unpleasant hiss I could imagine, after which it sort of lunged at me as I passed. Let me tell you, I was well on my way after that, and I have never seen anything like it since. So, you've got a monkey, bulldog, ape alligator that stands on its hind leg and hisses.
Does it have hooves?
With baleful eyes. She didn't say anything about its appendages, so I don't fucking know. It seems weird. But a lot of people actually did, report sightings of this creature after Hurricane Katrina was over, especially along Highway 90. Apparently just coming in, they saw lots of this stuff, and apparently they've had lots of problems with, like, pets being attacked and pets being found without blood and that kind of organs. Thing. Like dogs get found with, like, the blood drained of their carcasses, and it's just real
no iffy. Spleen, no dog spleen.
And apparently they are seen, or at least back in 2005, Hurricane Katrina time, they were seen a lot at the New Orleans City Park golf course.
I think those were just alligators.
It's like alligators that had a goat riding on its back. I don't know.
I've seen alligators at golf courses.
Yeah.
None of them had monkey features or dog features.
No. But a lot of people do end up calling this the Louisiana chupacabra. And it's just one of those creepy, some local people just don't let their pets out because they're scared this fucker's gonna get them.
Yeah.
Whether it's, something else like an alligator that's taken off with them, or any number of other local critters. I don't know, but I don't know, something about the Grunch just it's one of those wholesome cryptids that just make me happy, and I'm for it.
What in the world is wholesome about this?
It's the Grunch. Come on.
Okay, it's got a cute name, so what if it sucks everything and is... You're right.
Grunch.
You're right. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Look, sometimes a Grunch gotta eat,
Yeah, Grunch has gotta eat. motherfucker. That's what it says as it looks up at you with half a liver in its mouth. Sucked it out of this tiny hole. This grunch got some suction power.
Ew. Anyway, so yeah, that's the grunch. So if you're ever in New Orleans, watch out for your grunches.
You gonna get grunched.
I bet a grunch is the name of like a really awful shot there or something on Bourbon Street.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Grunch.
If it's not, it should be. They do everything else.
Yeah.
You know?
So
I would
anyway.
love to. Leah still has, well, I say still. It's COVID.
Yeah.
So Leah's never been like bar hopping on Bourbon Street, and I would love to do it with you.
Yeah,
as
I
we
mean,
said before, but it
the only
just
time
fucking
I've been in
smells.
New Orleans as an adult was when we were at a comic convention there,
Yeah.
and we didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
So,
It was fun though.
like I said, I've been to New Orleans plenty of time, but I was underage, so
Yeah.
we did not go to Bourbon Street during the night. So,
It's really fun, but god damn, it smells so bad.
well, I have no sense of smell, so that's not really a problem for me.
I'm just hoping they took this year or so of like having a lot less people to like clean it up a little bit, where it doesn't smell like garbage and vomit. But I very much doubt
Well,
it.
I mean, the people is the part that smells like garbage and
Correct.
vomit. So when the people come back, it's going to continue to smell like garbage and vomit.
So you're saying we should go right now?
I mean, no, because I have plans, but, you know, later on, sure.
When it smells like garbage and vomit again.
I mean, I want the real experience.
I think I've said it on the show before, but the best thing I've ever heard about New Orleans was before I had ever been, but it made sense very shortly thereafter because I'd gone. A friend of mine went to New Orleans, and when he came back, somebody asked him how it was, and he was like, I think I need to throw my shoes away.
Yeah.
It's just so
can see
fucking
that.
gross out there.
Yeah.
Just in certain areas, you know.
Yeah.
Just,
It just means like I said, I've not been all over the city because I was really young when we went, and you know, I've been to the major places, you know, the cathedral and the Vicaret and all of that, but
the major places, she says.
yeah, but I would like to go back.
Yeah. We will at some point.
Eat like in the real restaurants that are like nice.
Yeah.
And good.
We'll do that at some point, for
Sounds
sure.
like fun.
But for now, we're just going to
And I'll
sign
eat
off here.
My beignets and my chocolate milk at Cafe Du Monde because I don't like chicory coffee. It's really gross.
Well, we're going to take a little break in
Actually,
between stories here.
Nope.
Go ahead.
I've got
No?
to source my information.
Once Leah sources them, we'll take a
yes. Cryptid Wiki, Mysterious Universe, and Exemplar.
Exemplar.
Yeah.
That was a Stan Lee thing.
No, that was Excelsior.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, it's time to go check the sous videing meat that we have in the Thermomix.
And we'll be back for round
so
2
excited.
shortly.
Yes, we will see y'all very shortly. And we are back. We just ate dinner, and I am so sleepy. Because I already had, I think I had 3 beers before during the first story, maybe just 2, and a shot. And I am, oh my God, I'm sleepy. This is going to be fun.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sit here and listen. I'll be all nice and
I'm still
everything.
super sober and I don't like it, but it's fun. Whatever.
Well, also had a nice big old steak and some rice and veggies, and I am feeling it.
Excellent. Now, now that you're feeling it,
Yep.
Who's ready for some true crime?
Me.
Okay. We're going to West Virginia for this one, and we are going to be talking about it's the Foss Green murders, but it's also the last public hanging in West Virginia.
Oh, that's exciting.
So we're going to talk about the murders that the dude that gets hung committed, and then we're going to talk about the absurd spectacle.
Allegedly. The murders he allegedly.
No, this one was pretty cut and dry. And then sort of the whole spectacle and the bizarreness surrounding the final public execution ever held in West Virginia. So
Fun.
let's get into it. So in November of 1897, there was a lady named Chloe Faust Green. She was 61 years old, and she was living in a farmstead with 3 of her children. So Jimmy Green, who was 18, Matilda Faust, who was 26, and Alice Faust, who was 28. And they had a little farm along the Grasslit Creek in Jackson County, West Virginia, and she was just really known as being a nice, kind, caring woman in the community. Anytime anybody needed any kind of help, she would pitch in. She would do what she could to make sure that everybody had, enough for themselves.
Okay.
So she was a really nice, really well-respected woman in the community, and so everybody just kind of liked her. Everybody knew who she was. The kids were all really well-respected in the community and popular with the neighbors, so, it was a really nice family. They were so nice that there was a young man named John Morgan, and he was left in an orphan home when he was about 9 or 10 years old, and she just sort of took him into the family and gave him a house, sort of fostered him for about 5 years, until he got married in 1896. And so he, left and moved in with his wife, and they started their own, household. But every so often, John would still come back to the farm. If they needed chores done around the farm, he could get a few dollars here and there helping out around the farm, that kind of thing. And so on November the 2nd, he stopped in, and he asked Chloe, the mom, hey, can you give me a haircut? And it said she was just unable to do it that night, and I don't know why, what was going on, if she had other things to do, if the light wasn't good, I don't know. But it just said that she couldn't. So, she was like, you spend the night here, you can bunk in Jimmy's room, and, we'll take care of that in the morning.
Okay.
So he's spending the night with him. He's, in the bunk with Jimmy, the son, and around 4 in the morning, that next morning on November the 3rd of 1897, they both woke up, about 4 o'clock to go out and do the farm chores. So they're going out to the hog pen to just, feed the pigs like you do every morning. And for whatever reason, John got a wild hair and picked up a hatchet and beat him to death with it. Okay. Yeah. And then he just sort of came back into the house like nothing happened, and he found the 2 sisters just cooking breakfast, and their mom was, getting dressed in her bedroom. So he immediately struck Alice, who was the older daughter, excuse me. He struck her with the hatchet, and he thought she had died. And then he turned to Matilda and hit her twice with it as well, and it killed her. So he thought both of them were dead. So he went into the bedroom to take care of the mom. But Alice was actually still alive. Barely, but she was still alive. So she, while he was gone, she sort of crawled off to get help from a neighbor. And so he ends up, of course, getting into a big fight with Chloe because she was not going down easy, and he ended up killing her as well, though. And so Alice had raised the alarm, and the neighbors, had sort of tried to come help, but he had fled at that point. But they knew who it was. They knew what was going on, and so they went out, and it did not take them very long to actually find John Morgan. It was a couple of hours before he was apprehended. So this next section is going to be about the spectacle and the ridiculousness around this last public hanging, because it is fucking weird.
I'm excited.
So I'll tell you that all of the information for this was taken from a first-hand reporter's account from the time period, a newspaper article from The Sun, which was a newspaper back then in West Virginia, that it was one of the reporters attended it, and it is the longest fucking article. It's like when you copy paste it into like a document. It's like 17 pages long. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not going to go over all of it because a lot of it's racist. Like,
well, yeah. Like sometimes there are things I really want to read on like ESPN.com, and I click on them and I see the scroll bar on the side just like keep shrinking and shrinking.
And you're like, is there TLDR or something?
Well, it's like on ESPN, if there is like an article and it's not just a news piece, you know, if there is a full-on this is some journalism thing, it always has the first word in the paragraph bolded of different sections, so I can know there, and that bolded word makes me look at the scroll bar, and then I go, I don't want to spend like 20 minutes doing this.
Yeah. I really like the websites that have like a read time on their articles before you click it. Like, those are great, because like sometimes I want to get into a 20-minute article, and sometimes I do not.
It's most of the time. But I got shit to do.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so like I said, this is a very long first-hand account of someone who was there the whole time and saw all of this crazy bullshit.
And Leah goes, we're about to read the whole thing.
No, we're not going to read the whole thing. It is, I'm not kidding when I tell you, it is absurdly long.
That's what she said.
It has so much detail in it that I'm just sitting here going, I did not need to know that, sir. So yeah, it's a little wacky, a little wild. But anyway, so they first start off in this article giving you sort of a rundown of who John Morgan is, and they call him a shiftless character so many times. And they say that his father was a murderer before him and escaped hanging only because he took refuge in a tree, and the only way to get him down was to shoot him out. And so that's why his dad was killed, and he ended up in an orphan asylum because they couldn't hang him, so they just shot him out of a tree.
He was going to be an orphan either way, though, right?
I mean, you'd think, yeah. But I mean, like, okay, whatever. But basically, there was just not really a reason. There wasn't a motive. He ends up confessing to these murders like 5 or 6 times, and he gives a different motive each time, but from what most people can gather from the story is that he just got like a weird, like, what if I did this kind of thought, like one of those intrusive thoughts, and just like followed through with it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has intrusive thoughts.
But yeah.
Okay, so like I do have intrusive thoughts as part of like a disorder of my brain. It just happens. So mine isn't hurting other people. Mine is, what if I just ran this car off the road right now?
Yeah, I think everybody gets
that. And everybody gets that occasionally, but like mine can be obsessive and very repetitive and stupid.
Yeah.
Mine is specifically, what if I run this car off a bridge? Every time.
I'm driving every time we're in the car together.
Because if I do most of the time.
If I do it, it's an accident.
No, I mean, like I said, I've never had any, like, inclination to act on that, but it's just something that every time I go over a bridge, it's what would happen, and then my brain starts obsessively thinking, you know, what are the steps to getting out of a sinking car?
I have that sometimes.
Yeah.
I understand.
That's just one of those things that my brain does every time I cross over and I go over a very long bridge on my commute to work every day, so it's a good minute and a half every morning and every afternoon of, what if I ran this car over the side of the bridge? Anyway. Most
of my intrusive thoughts are like, right after a conversation with a person, I'm like, I wonder what they look like when they're pooping. That's usually what sticks in my head.
All right, well, good to know.
That's not something I'm going to seek out, you know.
No. Anyway, so yeah, they basically just say that he, you know, his wife does say, and his kinfolk say, you know, he was really depressed for the last year, and he was acting a little weird, but nobody really thought much of it. Like, he seemed to be doing normal, and then, like, he just went over, and it was people that he genuinely cared about and, like, liked and shit, and he just, like...
Okay, if you say so.
Just killed him.
Yeah.
He just bludgeoned them to death with a hatchet, so, you know, not great. And so, basically what happened was, after he was, captured, the next day he was indicted. And the next day after that, he was tried and convicted. So, like, it was a quick turnaround.
Shit used to get done back in the day. Now we got all this fucking red tape.
Yeah, it was a very quick turnaround.
Bureaucracy.
His defense was that he was temporarily insane, which can agree. And he just said that he was overcome by an irresistible impulse, and he just didn't know why he did it, and he was really remorseful and upset and sorry that he did it, and he just didn't understand what had happened, and, it was just like a temporary, I fucked up. But, I mean, that's a pretty big fuck up. Yeah. Pretty sure the jury was just like, nah, bro, you literally bludgeoned people to death, so you kind of, and they did decide that, he was guilty, and they were planning on hanging him. And the newspaper said, it's well that it did not, or his defense did not avail him, and it is well that it did not, because the people of Ripley were up in arms, and if he had not been convicted, he would have been lynched without any question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's one thing that luckily doesn't happen with as much.
Pretty glad that the lynchings don't really happen as much that often. At least, like, courtroom mob lynchings, you know. Because apparently, just according to a lot of these old stories, that happened more often than we'd like to think. Yeah. But anyway, so just a little side scene. He was in jail awaiting his execution, and he apparently, quote, I'm just going to read it because it made me laugh. So he had been making these confessions in prison, and they had been, forestalling his execution so they could get some closure for the remainder of the family, saying, why did you do it, kind of stuff. So he had been writing all of these different confessions and all of this stuff, and eventually it says, in addition to these confessions, Morgan added largely to the interest in this case by fixing up a dummy in his cell a couple of weeks ago and walking out of the county jail. He was only away for 2 days. However, when he was captured, he said he was on his way back. So he's like, "Hey, I was coming back. I was just out for a walk."
I was gonna own up to it.
I was coming back. It's gonna be fine. So anyway, eventually, he basically gets into a fight with the sheriff and the judge. He was basically saying, and the judge's name is fantastic. The judge is named Judge Blizzard, which is great.
Nice.
And Sheriff Shin and Blizzard. I like it. Anyway, so the judge is like, yeah, dude, you're gonna hang. Sorry about it. And he was like, I'm not gonna hang. I'm absolutely not gonna hang. Not on the day that you tell me. Not ever. And the sheriff was like, oh, fuck yeah, we're gonna hang you. Sorry, bro, it's gonna happen. So they just sort of ended up like, hey, we're really gonna make an example out of this guy. So they ended up getting permission from a local landowner to use this giant 10-acre plot of land, and at the center of it was have you ever been to Moundsville, like the Indian mounds that are
yeah it's
they
like,
call them Indian mounds, but I mean it's whatever. I mean, a lot of tribes built mounds as either burial or ceremonial spots.
They're burial grounds, I believe.
Not always. It just depends. But, like I said, they were mounds that were built up by native cultures in the area. But, colloquially and in this newspaper, they call it the Indian mound. Yeah. And so...
Real racist?
Oh, we're not even close to that. Getting there.
Saying.
But yeah, so they decided, so the mound rose about 30 feet above the ground. It was a pretty tall one. And so they erected the gallows on the top of that mound so everybody around could see it.
Kind of like a crucifix at that point.
Yeah, it's very much that. Yeah. And they put the word out, hey, everybody, there's going to be a public hanging.
Come see it.
Yeah. And they did. They really did. they started coming 2 days ahead of time. And at that season of the year, the roads were really muddy. Nothing was paved. It was just like ruts, deep wagon wheel ruts everywhere. And they said really the only way to travel there was by horseback, and everybody shows up on horses. They start showing up 2 days ahead of time. People were camping out. There was this is a tiny-ass town. The town's named Ripley, and it was only a town of like 400, 500 people, and thousands of people show up to this place.
They came from all over.
They came from fucking everywhere, and it wasn't just people. It was vendors. It was just peddlers.
They had hot dog stands out there?
Yeah, that is legitimately a thing. They came by boxcars and coal cars. They completely took over trains coming into town. People wanted to see this thing like crazy. Jesus. And they said in the newspaper the night before the execution, it was a jolly night in Ripley. And so apparently a theatrical troupe came into town, and they rented out the only like performance space. It was like the town hall kind of situation. They rented that space out to give a quote theatrical performance, and like the sheriff showed up, and everybody was having a grand old time, and they just did this big dramatic play where they ended up hanging someone on stage at the end, and everybody was so delighted by the buffoonery,
But just remember that today's media is too violent.
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, everybody's so bloodthirsty. No. Yep. They literally had a drunken party the night before they all decided to show up and watch this guy hang.
Well, this has been a regular occurrence throughout human history. It's only extremely recently that we don't watch people get killed.
Yeah, it's fucking disturbing. Anyway, so, and the quote the word that they keep using in this article is hilarity. After the play, the hilarity continued. And apparently Ripley was a completely dry town, but it was against the law to sell liquor there, but it wasn't against the law to drink liquor there. So everybody brought in all the booze that they could fucking find, and everybody was drunk as fuck the night before.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
It sounds like a fucking nightmare to me, but alright. But anyway, everybody shows up the next morning in the town square because they know that, around the jail sale. Jail sale.
Say me something sassy, you southern bitch.
Jail sale. So they show up around the jail sale. I can't fucking say that.
Jail sale. Let's do the whole thing again. Take 2. Jail sale.
They show up around the jail cell.
Oh.
Thank you. And they're all just crowded around trying to get a glimpse of him through the window, trying to hear him. And all of the peddlers and all of the performers and stuff show up. And a bunch of these dudes, so he had made a bunch of different confessions, right? And they had printed all of his different versions of his confessions up in pamphlets, and little kids were running around selling them. So the first confession was like 5 cents. The second confession was 10 cents.
Why?
The third confession was 15 cents. Because the more recent the news, the more expensive it was. For $50, you could get all the confessions together. Like, it was a racket that they had going on here. And, like I said, this is where we get a little racist.
Yeah.
So, apparently in front of the jail... Apparently in front of the jail, there were a bunch of performers, and this guy is obsessed with this one performer who is a black man, and he uses the N-word very frequently, both N-words, and he just keeps saying that, he's got a Punch and Judy show going on, and if you don't know, Punch and Judy are those two puppets that, like, hit each other.
Do, yeah.
Okay, so he had one of those going on, but he, quote, wore diamonds as big as eggs. He had a banjo too, and he was in the jewelry business. All right.
What the fuck does that mean, Leah?
I don't know.
Why do we have that bit of information?
I don't know. It's baffling.
Why did you give that bit of information?
But I mean, like, it just... It's out of... He's just saying all the things that happened, and eventually it was just like, he's got a lot of flashy diamonds, and he has a banjo, and he runs a jewelry business, and he's singing all these songs.
You're right. This fucking article is so stupid.
Fucking weird. this guy was anyway. So he keeps talking about how the guy, he's basically a minstrel, is what I'm going to call him. He is sitting there.
A banjo minstrel.
Yes, and he's sitting there singing songs, and. So the guy that's getting hung is in the jail cell. Jail. He's
in the jail cell,
and he's singing hymns, and he's like praying really loudly, and there are clergymen in there, doing last rites kind of situations, and the minstrel guy keeps mocking him from inside of the cell and singing over his hymns and is doing parodies of the hymns that he's singing and just being a general heckler to the guy that's about to get, hung.
That makes me so happy.
It's just absolutely bizarre, some of the stuff. Like I said, the way this guy describes it is very racist, so we're not going to go into it specifically, but it is available if anybody wants to read it. And then he also keeps talking about how they're Hebrew peddlers.
Oh, that sounds racist.
Yeah,
Whatever's about to come from that.
Yeah, just selling knickknacks and corn salves. I'm not even sure what a corn salve is, but you could buy it for 50 cents.
Made out of corn.
And he just keeps talking about all of the different people that have set up booths and are vending and all of the different songs that are being sung. And, nobody has any kind of, solemnity about this thing. It is a fucking spectacle at this point.
Awesome.
And the guy on the inside, John Morgan, is singing Nearer My God to Thee. And it types out, they've written out all of the lyrics to the songs that he was singing. And then, of course, the perverted songs that the minstrel is singing over him. It goes back and forth and back and forth.
That's exciting. The banjo minstrel.
Yeah. Anyway, eventually, they are there's a rumor that goes around the crowd that the governor had decided to give a pardon to him, and it's freaking everybody out. Everybody's like, we've come so far.
Yeah.
What if we don't get to see this guy?
We tried so hard and got so far.
Yeah. So they were really upset, and they were wondering, and anyway, the sheriff comes out.
Didn't see you hanging, and after all, you didn't like Lincoln Park?
No. Anyway, they were fine, but not in this context. Anyway, so the sheriff comes out and his quote says, "Boys, he'll hang. Now don't you fear. When Owen Shin gives his word, he'll hang." So basically, their thought was the town doesn't have a telegraph. All of the telegraphs that are sent to the town come in by train. The train gets there at 12:40. They're planning on hanging this man directly at 12, so even if the governor tries to interfere, he'll already be dead. That's the whole plan, and it is laid out specifically by the sheriff to the news reporter in the paper.
That's fun. I hope it happened.
It did. We're going to have a hang-in regardless of whether it's legal or not. So anyway, they try to disperse the crowd. It takes a while.
The show must go on.
Yeah. But eventually, they get him out of the jail. They get him run up to the gallows. And, it was at the top of that mound, and it was surrounded with a barbed wire fence because only the jurors and the newspaper reporters were, inside the fence. And anyway, they start, shouting and cussing and etc. And people are singing and dancing and being crazy, and eventually the preachers start the whole proceedings and everybody quiets down a little bit, except for the people that are selling things because they keep hawking things the whole time. And they are okay, so the preacher gets up there, the first preacher, there's two. The first preacher gets up, starts talking for 12 minutes, and everybody's like,
excuse me.
Okay. Cool. And he sits down and everybody's like, yeah, it's about to happen.
12 minutes.
And then the next preacher gets up and prays for 15 minutes. And everybody's like, come on, guys.
One long prayer? Are you supposed to keep your eyes closed for that whole thing?
I don't know. But apparently people were really, antsy at this point. Yeah. And they were like, come on, guys. We gotta...
the God stuff's all well and good. Just hang the motherfucker.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of how they're saying.
Yeah.
And so eventually that preacher finishes up with a bunch of and they've written out most of what that guy says for 15 minutes. Like it's a lot. And eventually,
please don't read it.
I'm not. Eventually the sheriff, the preacher's done, the sheriff says, "Hey John, do you want to make a speech? I'll give you 10 minutes if you want to do it." And everybody in the crowd's like, "Fucking speech." And
So now
this
they
guy,
want him to speak.
Yeah, and this guy that's about to get executed is like, I'd like to say some stuff, but no thanks.
Oh.
And
Even I'm fucking overweighting at this point.
Yeah. And everybody gets real mad that he won't speech, and they're like, "Oh, why won't you speech?" And anyway, eventually his last words.
Why you no speech?
Eventually, these were his last words: "I bid farewell. I bid you all," in quotes, choke, "goodbye. This ought God help and forbid any young man," another pause, "God help and forbid any young man going and acting as I have done. Goodbye. And then they
So
put
long.
him in the...
Farewell.
Sorry. Out of the box. Anyway,
Saw that coming. I was like, I better stop.
yes, indeed. But anyway, so, like I said, he ends up hanging, and everybody quiets down for a second, and then they just start talking again, and they let him hang for about 30 minutes, and they pack him back up in a coffin.
30 minutes?
30 minutes,
Oh,
yeah.
for the spectacle of what
Yeah,
everybody
they
sees.
let him hang for about 30 minutes, and then they, put him in the coffin and hauled him off, and they had to lock the coffin in the jail cell. The jail cell, that's very hard for me to say.
5 times fast, go.
No. They locked it in the cell because they were worried that people might come, steal the body because it was too far to deliver it to his wife's, farmstead from then. So they just had to lock it back in the cell until it was deliverable the next morning. And everybody, continued on. But the problem was... everybody had trickled in, but everybody was ready to go home immediately. So it was like trying to get out of a major concert or a stadium or something like that, only everybody's got horses and guns. It was an absolute fucking nightmare trying to get out of that fucking little town. And it was gridlock for hours on horses with people that are drunk and pissed off.
I don't understand how there could be a traffic jam. Y'all, you're on horses. Just go another way.
But there were some wagons and stuff like that as well. But
wagons. There you go. That
so
makes
like I said,
sense.
it's a big, everybody's exiting, a major sporting event or something. It's just the worst.
There's nothing worse than after sporting event or concert traffic.
Yeah.
It's so awful.
So yeah, that's sort of what happened, and it was all because of a hanging. But yeah, and apparently the folks that did linger just decided to sit around and drink rum until the roads cleared up. And then they went home on their horses drunk as shit, I suppose.
At least they had rum.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's just bizarre. And the fact that used to be a thing as recently as that seems a bit weird and awkward to me. But you're right. It was a thing all throughout history. It's not just... Yeah.
I can see that we're at the end. Did you do a shot in the dark?
Did I do a shot in the dark?
No. Not to me. I'm asking if you put one in.
Well, shit fire.
Shit fire damn.
I swear I thought I put one in the
Alright, just do a personal thing. Let's do, here, guess what this weapon is. Ready? What the fuck is that?
You're the one that pressed it. How am I supposed to know?
It's not what it says. Let's try. How the fuck is that thing?
Like a rifle shot?
No.
A real tinny rifle shot? What?
Titty?
Tinny.
Oh. No, this says plastic gun. How?
Like a pop cap gun? That doesn't sound right.
No, that's awful. Well, just ask me something interesting. It's obviously not about the story. Just ask me a question. See if I can get it right.
A question.
Anything.
Oh,
Okay. Here we go.
No, I really don't have a question. I'm sorry.
You said O. What did you have O for?
I really don't have anything, man. I'm sorry. Just take a shot.
Okay. Well.
Oh,
right.
okay. what was...
Oh. You had to sneeze?
No. I'm trying to think of something real fast.
Just say whatever you were about to say, because you had something.
What?
So what was
my it was 5th grade. What was my 5th grade 4-H project about?
Okay, do I get...
No.
Okay. So I don't quite know what 4-H is. I know that it's agriculture related. That's about it.
Sure, but it didn't have to be agriculture related.
It didn't?
No.
Okay. I'm going to say, since we talked about it earlier, pig ears. No. Sow ears.
Mm-mm.
Well, what was it?
It was about Project Paperclip. Anyway.
What's Project Paperclip?
Well, that'll be a future episode, but it's where all of the Nazi scientists were brought to Huntsville to...
yeah, I know that.
To do...
Did you hear the
rockets?
The off-note Price is Right?
Yes, I did, and it was terrible. You should feel bad. Anyway, yeah, so the, and there's ghosts. That particular homestead where those people were murdered, there's ghosts.
So, we witnessed the first here.
We're gonna roll it back to ghosts. Prepare. Look, I thought I had put it in there, and apparently I didn't. I'm sorry.
You might have skipped it. By accident.
I probably did skip it because I skipped a lot of shit because it's 17 pages long. So I'm sure it's in there somewhere and I just don't know where I put it. But I know I put something in there.
You could Control F and shot in the dark.
I just don't care that much. Anyway, we shotted you. It's fine. I apologize for that, guys. I like to be slightly more prepared than that. But you know what? Shit happens.
Chicken butt.
Anyway, so my sources for that are wvculture.com, which is where that scan of the article came from. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in reading that guy's first-hand perspective of that entire nonsensical situation
with racist language,
yes, there is anti-Semitism and racism against black people specifically very heavily features throughout that article. So if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, just be aware. And also, the other source was WestVirginiaHauntsAndLegends.com.
Well, that was a fun story.
Correct.
I enjoy spectacles.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. Well, do you want to hit us with a toast?
Sure. Everybody hoist your water high into the sky, because that's what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah. We got these cups made. These are just cheap Walmart cups, if you're watching on YouTube, that Leah's friend Aaliyah, her brother has a laser, and he laser cut them. I have another one.
Our names into them. They're really fancy.
Yeah, I have one too. We got them for the resort we're going to in Mexico, which by the time you hear this episode, we will have been back from.
Yeah.
But the Mexican resort is all-inclusive, so at the pool, where normally they'll just bring you whatever you want, now it's recommended that you bring your own cup, and they'll just go fill it for you.
Yeah, so I'm going to fill this
That is going to have about 50, 60,000 banana daiquiris in it this next
It's going to have a lot of margaritas. I don't know. Maybe some daiquiris. I don't know. It's going to be great. But anyway, everybody hoist your water cup high in the sky.
Laser-engraved mug.
Yeah, indeed. And we're going to have a toasty toast.
All right.
This is so bad. I'm sorry.
I'm excited. These are my favorites.
It's never satisfied with just a Bloody Mary brunch. He'll suck your pets dry, and folks call him the Grunch.
Oh, Leah.
Yeah, I know, it's bad. An axe murderer hanging was the biggest show in town, and true to his word, the sheriff didn't let them down. Drink.
The crowd or the person?
The crowd.
Hanging?
They definitely let him down
either. For 30 minutes.
Well, they sort of let the spring trap out from underneath him. That was letting him down, which jerked him up.
You're the worst.
You know how hangings work.
I do. Well, everybody, I guess that's it for this week.
Yeah.
That's about it. I haven't done anything on YouTube in a while, like my personal gaming channel. I've been very fucking busy with school this semester, and now we're going to Mexico, so, you know.
But as soon as that, stops being a thing that we're doing, we will continue. Right?
Yeah.
Well, you'll continue. I don't have anything to do with that except putting comments in the chat.
Very nice. Good job putting comments in the chat on Twitch. And check out this episode on YouTube. We're going to see how this works with the nice camera this time. We did it last week too, so hopefully both videos are up. We'll see.
We'll see.
And we'll see how it goes. I guess that's it though, Leah. Is that everything?
That's everything.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Follow us on all the social media platforms, and send us a postcard, P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama 35640. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast, if you want to send us some beer money. Is that everything though? Did I miss something? Okay. Well, thank y'all so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.